Hello there. Today we are going to take up Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. And this is a poem which is very apt today in this world where lockdown is going on. Students, what do you make of the title Keeping Quiet? Keeping quiet basically means let's be quiet, let's not indulge ourselves in the rat race and the hectic world, and let's take a break from our activities like we have taken these days because we are forced to by the lockdown. So the poet urges us, requests us to take a break from our hectic activities we are indulged into and think about and introspect and reflect on what are we doing and how our actions are going to create a havoc for ourselves and lead us to the doom. If we don't introspect, if we don't retrospect, what will happen? What will become of this beautiful human race and this beautiful world is known to everybody. So let's take up this awakening poem, Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. Pablo Neruda actually is a pen name of Neftali Basalto, who uses fantastic imagery to beautify his poems. This Nobel Prize winner stresses on the need of quiet introspection, the reflection, so that we can create a feeling of mutual understanding among human beings and stop all the wars, the conflicts which will harm ultimately the human race and this wonderful world. So the poem goes like this. Now we'll count to 12 and we will all keep still. So the poet requests the human beings to count to 12. Now 12 refers to 12 months in a year. 12 also refers to 12 hours of activity. So the poet says that let's count to 12 and let's be still, quiet, introspect, reflect on what are we doing, what activities are we undertaking, and the repercussions of the activities on this Mother Earth and on our fellow beings. For once on the face of earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. So he says that let's not speak in any language because language breeds in discrimination. So he says that once on this face of earth, on this earth, let's stop for a second and realize and not move our arms so much. Arms is connotation to two things. Arms means are the physical part of our body. That means let's not do mindless activity. And arms also suggest to the weapons. Arms also suggest weapons. Let's not use arms that much and think of the results. Let's stop our reckless activities and think how are we harming each other. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in sudden strangeness. So basically, it's happening today because of the coronavirus. It'll be an exotic moment means basically it will be a special and exquisite moment, strange moment without rush. There's no rush these days. Without engines, there's no machines working, whether it's cars on the roads or engines or machines in the factories. He says that would all be together. We would all be together means we'll understand each other and realize what have we done to this Mother Earth, what have we done to each other, and that's what we are doing it right now in a sudden strangeness. So we are understanding this sudden strangeness that this moment of understanding each other has occurred, which obviously poet wanted the human beings to have it. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. So the fishermen who go in the cold sea and harm the whales, the creatures of the water, and the men who gather salt would look at how they are hurting their hands. So, fishermen, the connotation is basically to all human beings how they are harming the environment and how, like the salt gatherers, are harming their own hands. The human beings would also understand through their activities they are harming themselves and bringing themselves near to the doom. Those who prepare green wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in shade doing nothing. So, this is an appeal by the poet to all those politicians and all those people, the statesmen who are indulged in harming the nature. Green wars means wars against greenery, wars against nature, destroying the nature. All the enemies of this green world, wars with gas, war with fire, war with bombs, victory with no survivors. He says that wars ultimately would lead to victory of human beings, but there would be no survivors to enjoy that kind of victory. So, in the next lines, he says, would put on clean clothes and walk about their brothers in the shade doing nothing. So, he urges them to put on the clean clothes, to shed all their evil thoughts, and in solidarity with each other, understand each other, and there would be no wars, and there would be a shade. They will walk in shade. Shade, of course, symbolizes coolness. Doing nothing here doesn't mean that they'll stop working, but doing nothing means they will stop all the wars against each others, the conflicts against each other. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. So he makes it clear, the poet makes it clear that don't think that I'm telling you to stop all your activities fully. Life is what it is about. Life is what it is about means life means going on. Life is being full of activity. But he is saying that let's all at least once in a day we should introspect, reflect on the activities which we are undertaking and think whether it's good for the others, good for this world, and reflect on it. I want no truck with death if we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness. So, the sadness with which the human beings are living, the sadness of not understanding each other, the sadness, the gloom because of the wars, of mindless killings and bombs would stop. So let's not tolerate the, the meaningless killings of human beings. If we were not so single minded, we human beings are all focused about ourselves. We are selfish, we are single minded of what we are to do, and don't think of how our activities can result in harm to others. We are so selfish, we are only worried about keeping our lives moving. So we are busy in our worlds without paying attention, being empathetic towards others. Perhaps this huge silence, if we stop doing this huge silence may interrupt the sadness, the gloominess, and maybe this will help us to understand ourselves and the others, and threatening ourselves with death. So our activities are leading ourselves towards the doom, which the human beings would understand if they introspect, they will retrospect, they will reflect on and understand that the things they are doing are not good for this human race, for this world. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. So the poet says that let's learn a lesson from earth. Like the earth in winters seems to be all dead. There is no growth, no sprouting of leaves, and later on in the spring it starts growing, everything starts sprouting. And so we human beings should also be like earth. We should take introspect and take some time to reflect on, and then whatever we'll do would be uh, for the good of others, because then we'll understand that whether our activities are beneficial to the others or not, and we will be considerate about others. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I'll go. So he says that now I have taught you this lesson of introspection. So I'll leave you on that, and please be silent, introspect, reflect on, retrospect, and understand. Our silence can help us to maintain a harmonious life on the earth and stop all kind of mindless destruction. So our silence would help us to maintain a harmonious life on this earth and stop all kind of mindless, reckless destruction which is happening on this earth.